Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. Today I have with me Jacquie Legrand, CEO and founder at MAPTYCS, and that's MAPTYCS. Jacquie, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
Good, good. It's a sunny Monday. All good?
Fantastic. And according to LinkedIn, you are New York based, but I don't know if New Rochelle is that in the city or is that Long Island or upstate?
It's upstate. It's close to the city. It's like right after the Bronx. And it was established by the Huguenots, which linked me to my background. So I do not have the accent of New York, and I think I will never get it right because I was born and raised in Annecy in the French Alps. And I then went to business school in Paris, where I started my career in technology with IBM. And it's also where I met with my husband, who is from Asian descent. And we raised our two daughters here in New York. So along the way, I joined the insurance industry. I took over my first C-suite job. I had to commute, by the way, for 7 years between Porto, as in Portugal, São Paulo, as in Brazil, and New York. And I co-founded MAPTYCS, which is an insurtech company that uses geospatial analytics to assess property and climate risk. So, in a wrap up, it's how, from my upbringing in the French Alps, I became a citizen of the world and an entrepreneur.
Fantastic. And I believe we met at Climate Tech Connect, which was
That's right.
fantastic conference. And yeah, I remember your booth and meeting your husband. Um, so MAPTYCS. Okay, so basically focused on assessing uh, property and climate risks. Um,
Right.
Huge topic in our world of insurance nowadays. Um, so what does it look like? How do you help carriers assess their risks?
Yeah. So, to help you on the pronunciation, think about mapping and analytics. That's how we came
Oh,
to MAPTYCS. Okay,
perfect.
easy, easy. So, uh, effectively, it's a web-based solution for property risk mapping and exposure analytics, hence MAPTYCS. So in the platform, our users can combine, visualize, analyze their property portfolio data with multiple à la carte geospatial datasets, either from governmental agencies as of FEMA, NOAA, others, or from third-party providers. And they can assess their property exposure and climate exposure either at a single location level or across portfolio. And with that, they can track accumulations, they can develop financial scenario, and they can also monitor severe weather events in real time. So our clients span between risk managers to insurers and in between brokers, MGAs, etc., and in mostly North America and Europe. So what I like to say about MAPTYCS is we make data dance in MAPTYCS because it's what we do, okay? Um, and it's also very easy to use and to implement because it has been a focus all the way when we develop the product. It has to be fast and easy and repeat.
That's very, very interesting. Um, so we've had catastrophe modeling for a while, not climate focused, since at least Hurricane Andrew is kind of when historically it really took off. Uh, but it's not easy, right? It
No.
requires a lot of expertise and a lot of of expensive people to make sense of it and make the most of all the catastrophe analytics packages. So very, very interesting that the focus has always been on making it easy. Why?
Yes, but we do not do uh, modeling. We do analytics. So in fact, exactly like you said, to develop models, which is geospatial type of data, right? It requires a lot of expertise. But what we do is all these models, we can integrate them into MAPTYCS, which is what we do. We integrate risk maps, models, a number of things that is altogether broadly called geospatial data. It could come from Earth observation, satellite imagery, what have you. And we can match those dataset models image with property data from our clients. So they can see which one of their properties are in these areas of risk for wildfire, flood, a real-time tropical storm. So it's like a data aggregator, right?
So before MAPTYCS, basically the
Mhm.
carriers have had the different climate models for, what is that, 30, 40 years, 30 some years. But they had no easy way to visualize everything together, basically, and run analytics on it.
Right, and at scale. So power users are still using like the ArcGIS or some geospatial tool, but you cannot really handle volumes, and it's really for power users. Or you have other tools will always be used like the RMS, Air of the world, but all the tools that really exist are mostly for power user, pretty expensive.
Mhm.
And our tool is for power and standard user, and it's fit because it's easy to use and it's not so expensive. It's really fit for a broader spectrum of users, and it's for businesses and insurers, right? Because the thing is, Tony, the timing is really in our favor because of the acceleration of natural disaster and the volatility of construction costs. The property losses are mounting, which means the current way to buy or provide insurance will not work anymore because the premium cannot be reasonable anymore. So insured businesses and insurers, like the whole ecosystem, doesn't have really a choice. Everybody needs to have a better understanding of the property risk exposure because one way you have to do more retention because premiums are up, deductibles are up. And on the other side, you have to do a better selection and a better pricing because you cannot afford to lose money. You have to achieve underwriting profit and still be competitive. It's not easy. It's not getting any easier. So we see a big traction for geospatial tool to leverage external data because the good news is there is a lot of very good quality location intelligence, as we call it, data that we didn't have before. But to leverage this type of data, you need to have advanced geospatial technology because the legacy system, either of risk managers or insurers, cannot do that efficiently. So that's why our timing is really good.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds so when you say power user versus standard user, so power user, I'm imagining basically a developer with or a business analyst with experience in modeling. but standard users makes me think basically my chief underwriting officer, who is more a business person than anything else, can deal with the data themselves.
Exactly. And you know what, Tony? The big plus is you can then underwrite faster because today a property underwriter will depend on a cat exposure team
Absolutely.
get the profile of the risk. And I have been a broker and I know exactly how it works. I sent my submission to 10 insurers, and the first three coming to me with a quote, I'm going to my client because there are other brokers, right?
Mhm.
So the faster you get, the more business you do.
Yeah,
It's what it is, right?
as a former underwriter, I was middle market, not property specifically, but 1,000%. Yes. One of the biggest
Yeah.
predictors of what we would write, what was getting back to the broker quickly. Now, it's not as important as in small commercial, where like the whole game is speed, but but yes, regardless of how good your quote and how competitive, if you're the last one in the door, chances are you're late. So that absolutely
Yeah.
makes sense to me. Um, so so on the underwriting side, absolutely makes sense. And it sounds like also very helpful for the overall management of aggregate risk.
Yeah, exactly. Because we look at accumulations in different ways. And this year, because we actually started for our first client. Okay. So we started MAPTYCS for client number one. That was a risk management type of client, a large company here in the US. And it was a product for a client. It was not MAPTYCS. Okay. And then we signed a 3 years agreement with AXA in the US. So all of a sudden, now we are really in business. It's how we name it MAPTYCS, incorporated the company in Delaware. And from there, we have kept building the solution as it is today. It took us 7 years to be where we are because it's a very complex technology. And we listen to clients and experts to build the solution, right? So we added features, we added data set, and lastly, we added performance level. So from the risk management, it is where now we have a very compelling solution all the way to the insurance market, because quite simply, with the new infrastructure we built using H3 and other recent technologies, we can manage millions of locations in seconds,
Wow.
which is pretty cool. And we also added financial calculation that are of interest for insurers as the layer exposed and things like that. So really, it took us time because it's a complex solution, again, to get where we are. And we are very proud to be where we are today, and very thankful to all the clients we had from day one and the people who always supported us and gave us, very good ideas and help us to build some different features. Like when a client tells me, Jackie, would be great to have a dashboard. I say, okay, how do you want it? So then we do some back and forth. And that client with a broker, actually, I can say it's Epic Broker, giving us the idea of the dashboard. They are very proud because they are the client who co-created this new feature with us, right? We love to do that. We love to be very close to clients, um, listen to them, and each time we build a new feature, we test it with our clients along the way.
that is fantastic. So you talked about the tool being web-based. I'm always
Yeah.
curious about the implementation. So does it need to
Mhm.
plug into my underwriting system, or how does yeah what is the integration like?
It's different each time because deep inside, we know how difficult it is for a company to use a new system. So we want to make it easy, fast, smooth, easy. So it could be whatever. It could be integration of property portfolios via CSV file or Excel spreadsheet, okay? It could be via API, and it could be a mix of both. Because what's happening in real world? An insurance company has made some acquisition along the way. And sometimes it happens that their data is not on the same system yet. Okay. So some is on one system, some is on another, and some is in spreadsheet. So we just adjust, and down the road, we follow the progress they made internally.
Okay.
So, in other words, we are super flexible to adjust to the situation and the processes. So, we start with a few use cases, then we try to make the client use more of the platform because we can do so many things. So, you cannot say to someone, we do all of that, okay? It's overwhelming. So we try to start at a reasonable perimeter and type of feature, and we try to grow. We have a great customer success team. So it's how we work. We don't have one fit all. How can I say that, right?
Okay. What is the pricing philosophy?
Simple, because as we believe deeply that we have to have a very good user experience, we have to have it all the way, including in the pricing. So we price on the volumes of property. So we have brackets and like from 0 to 2,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, etc., right? Because we have a very broad span of clients. So the pricing is on the volume of properties, and it includes all the core features and a bunch of data set that we give for free. It's a la carte. You don't need to use all of them, but it's all this free. And then we will add uh, what is coming from third-party providers like the Munich Re and others that, of course, unfortunately is not free as of yet. So that will impact the pricing, right? So we try to keep it easy. We cap the number of users in a reasonable way. We are pretty generous, but let's pretend a client would tell Jackie, okay, I have 10,000 locations and I want 50,000 users. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, right? Because we all know in the tech world that what is taking space on my server, and by the way, we are on Amazon Web in Europe to be GDPR compliant. So what takes space is the volume of data and the number of potential users at the same time on the same account, right? So we number of properties, we cap the number of users, and then we maneuver from there.
Okay. Um, what what kind of feedback are you getting from the clients?
Actually, pretty good. Users, so we have not a million of clients now, but we see a big traction and we are growing this year in the MGA space, which is really cool. So clients who had been using some other tool before would say, wow, it's so much faster, it's great, it's so easy. So that's really good for us to hear. Some users have never used something like that before, so they kind of playing around. Um, Users tell me use cases that I never thought of before because you can be very creative. There is no workflow per se. So once you understand the different features, you can mix and match. Everything is working together. It's all synchronized, right? So we really hear very good feedback. Let's say for risk manager, what they say is finally they can have a tool where they can get more in control of their risk and they can have a better level of conversation with their insurance companies, more authority, more control because they know. And also it helped them to explain or demonstrate their strategy to senior management because you go to a board meeting with a spreadsheet, you are done, right? So here, what they can show on the map of the world is visual, right? And brokers love that it helped them a lot to develop risk report, renewal submissions. So they can win new client. They use it for request for proposal and then for renewals. And then insurance companies, it's how easy, fast, all the linking of data we can achieve. So, I mean, we get very good feedback. We are new. What we do is pretty new. And again, Tony, it took us 7 years to be there. It's not something you can do like that. We were ahead of the game, to be honest. But we kept investing, and I'm happy we did because now we are ready for the current demand.
That's
And
fantastic.
what we know well is how to now integrate more data. So we are in discussion with many data providers, and we know how to integrate complex geospatial data set, which
That
is
is,
very important.
that is a good point. I'm always asking kind of from the carrier perspective, from the NGA perspective, from the broker perspective. I don't often remember to ask about the other providers. So yes, so if a listener uh, is at one of the third-party data sources, RMS or AIR or
Yeah.
whatever, uh, how how would partnering with you to make sure that their data can easily go into your system, what does that look like?
Yeah, sure. So as we speak, we are in discussion with ISI, Excel, RMS. They all have very good data, and we are and we will be integrating some of their data set into MAPTYCS because our clients wants to use sometimes our clients have license with this provider and they want to use the data they are buying into MAPTYCS because it's like you can have everything in one platform to visualize and slice and dice and filter and what have you. So all and every data provider are potentially partners with us. They're all our friends because we can make their data dance in MAPTYCS alongside with their clients' property data.
I can totally see how for any data provider, I go back to making your data dance in a
Yeah,
visual way.
yeah,
Yes, that is so attractive for any data provider to be able to help our client use our data more efficiently and with a better UI is a huge win.
yeah.
There's just no negative
Yeah,
to it.
it is. And you know why I use that? Because sometimes you have to be careful with words. If you say data visualization, people are thinking bar charts and pie charts, which we have in what we call a dashboard, okay? But for me, visualization is like in a map of the world, which is a bit different,
No kidding. Yeah.
right? And one of the use I didn't mention yet is because we have real-time data. And by the way, tropical storm look fabulous in MAPTYCS because it's colorful. We have all the wind waves and it's updated every 4 hours and we have a notification system. But then you come to the tool and you can draw a polygon around that shape. We have 3 days projection. And when you do that, it is filtering all your locations that are in this polygon. Okay? So you know right away how much exposure you have potentially in the 3 days. And then you can rotate the polygon. Because what if it goes a bit more east or west and you are seeing how it will impact the potential losses, right? You can do what if scenario as an insurer. It will help you project losses and further on after the event ends to have an idea of the reserve for future claims payouts, which is a very important thing for insurance companies because they have to use their capacity wisely. And from a risk management perspective, during the tropical storm, they can do mitigation because you have again a 3 days projection. So you can maybe move some stocks around and at least make sure that you are going to deploy your emergency crisis planning and protect your operation as best as you can, protect your people, protect your reputation at the end of the day. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, totally makes
Yeah.
sense. I I was an inside adjuster for a couple of years, and I did 10 days of catastrophe duty after the Joplin tornado in 2011, I believe. Um, and it was an incredible experience seeing where the rubber hits the road of
Yeah.
what we do in insurance, but we're there afterwards, right? And we have limited visibility as to what's been hit, and the insured has to call us and then wait and wait and wait and wait and wait because we're very very busy. Anything we can do that allows us to be proactive, and just off the top of
Yeah.
my head, being able to text the insured and tell them to get out of the way if they can, to get their vehicles out of the way if they can, kind of thing. Anything like that that can mitigate the risk is a win for both sides. And
Yeah.
if it allows me to deploy my people 2 days faster, that is right. The storm finished and we're already there. That is amazing service. Uh,
Yeah.
and if we can be there before the roofers and before the lawyers, that's a win for everybody. Yeah, that's definitely a win. It gives the chance to service the client right, and be smarter with our capacity and with our claims resources. So yeah,
Exactly.
it intuitively
Yeah.
makes sense to me why this would be good. So looking at the website, data visualization, all your data. I love that. All your data on one map. Uh,
Yeah.
I've never ran a department or an insurance company, but just based on what I've seen from the systems, you never have all your data. You never have just one map. You rarely have a map.
Yeah. That's
All your data,
right.
one map.
That's right.
Real-time threat
Yeah.
monitoring, amazing. And then advanced risk analytics and custom reporting. Uh, it makes absolutely perfect sense for me. Uh, this will likely come out June 30th. So taking that into account, are there any new features in the development pipeline that are coming out the rest of this year that you're excited about? Or at this point, you're kind of feature complete and you're basically working on getting it in front of all the carriers and MGAs?
Yeah, the latter, because we did a major release in February,
Okay.
and now we are on a big sales mode because we build a team between London and here. So now we are in many discussions because we have now the product is ready, the infrastructure is ready. And as always, because we are bootstrapped, which is a good place to be. So we, as the revenue grow, and as our new client will require new data set, we will engage in more discussion with data provider and do the integration because each integration, although we know how to do it, it takes time
Mhm.
because you want to make it right. You want to give justice to the data and make sure it gives benefit to the user so they can match it properly. The view, the map, the satellite image with the attributes and match it with their own location profile to get insight. So all this takes time. So we cannot do 10 integration at the same time. So we are adjusting our calendar in a flexible way, depending on the revenue we have, the requirement we have, and so forth. So we keep cool. We don't predict the future. We just go with the flow and adjust, adapt. Is the
Building
only way.
building a system of a platform of this complexity, bootstrapped, is amazing. And of course, it took time, but it puts you in the amazing position of being able to do it right. Right, the moment you take VC money, now you have extreme pressure to grow quickly. It looks like you guys are sitting in a really good spot to continue doing it the right way instead of having to grow extremely quickly.
Right. Although we are still open to some angel funding because obviously a few 100,000 could help us go a bit faster, meaning like get a few more sales guys, right, to grow faster. But other than that, we are happy with what we did. We invested personally, the co-founders, but we are very optimistic the future. It's been quite a journey. We have to be focused, avoid distraction, and really I think it's all about you need to have a good product, which we have. It has to have a high uh, entry barrier, which is the case. But more than that, the product needs to solve a challenge that needs to be solved now. And we get the timing. Okay. So it's really the hard work, a bit of luck, all coming together. And yes, we are in a good position. It was not easy. I think it's because we are small and bootstrapped that we could go really fast, right? But we still, because we are small, we have to prove more than a bigger company,
Yes, yes.
right? So this is why we have a very good stack of technology for one thing, for the performance, but also we are very strong on the security and the process. So we got the SOC 2 level 2,
Perfect.
which is time consuming and expensive. And we have very advanced process, like we do automated testing every morning. And so we have the level of security and performance of a big company, but we have the flexibility of a small one.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Jacquie, thank you so much for your time today. When this goes live, I will tag both you and the company on LinkedIn. And for the listeners, yeah, I'm including the company website on the show notes. That's maptycs.com with a Y. like analytics. So map like map, ticks like and like the end of the word analytics.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today. Look forward to see you guys get more widely deployed in the market, and hopefully we'll have you back in a year or two to talk about how you've changed the world of uh, property insurance.
Thank you so much. I mean, thank you for your time. It
My
was a
pleasure.
pleasure. And hopefully, if you happen to be in New York in the summer, let's make it a lunch
Absolutely, will do.
or
Thank
a
you.
dinner. By all means, I'm very serious, Tony.
Perfect. Thank you.